There was an echo in the house when I dropped the ring on the marble counter. Not a loud clang, just that cold, tiny tick that reminded me how empty the place had become. She wasn't home. Obviously. She was across town, sitting at a rooftop restaurant with the man she accidentally bumped into at a gym 4 months ago. The man she said was just a friend who's helping with fitness goals. His name's Troy. Of course it's Troy. He looks like the kind of guy who names his muscles and drinks smoothies that cost more than my weekly groceries. So while she was out sipping imported wine with Troy, laughing in that fake, breathy way she used to laugh only for me, I was here. In our house. Our house. Just me in that stupid little ring she used to flash in every Instagram post like it was some sort of trophy. I took it out of the drawer where she hid it after postponing the wedding. Not canceling. Just pausing. Like love was a TV show you could resume after a quick bathroom break. I left it next to a bottle of her favorite perfume, the same one I found all over the passenger seat of his black Audi last week. Funny, right? She couldn't even bother switching up her scent. Then I packed my stuff. Not dramatically, no smashing frames or burning pictures. Just folded shirts, some socks, laptop, a folder of receipts, and financial statements that might come in handy when this whole thing blows up legally. As I loaded the trunk, I found the envelope I wasn't supposed to see. It was wedged under the spare tire cover. Airline tickets. 2 of them. First class. Her name and his. Departure date, 2 days from now. So the pause was actually a farewell tour. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even call her. I just texted her. Check the kitchen. The ring's home. I'm not. That should have been the end, right? Except the part that came after, the part that still makes my hands shake and my stomach twist, that didn't happen until the next morning. When the cops showed up. And one of them said, "Sir, we need to ask you a few questions about Madison Sloan." And the other one added, "This isn't just a breakup anymore." I thought it was a mistake. Like maybe they had the wrong house, the wrong guy, maybe they were looking for a neighbor. You know how your brain just refuses to accept reality when something feels off? 2 uniformed officers. One tall and quiet, the other one flipping through a little notepad, already asking questions before I could finish opening the door. "Mr. Ellwood Banks?" "Yes." "Do you have any idea where Madison Sloan is right now?" "She's probably with someone named Troy." "Why?" "She didn't show up at work. Or at her apartment. Her phone's off. Her parents haven't heard from her." "Okay, but what does that have to do with me?" He looked at me for a second. Just stared. And that's when I realized they weren't here to accuse me of anything. They were here because they didn't know what else to do. One of them asked if they could come in. I didn't say anything, just stepped back and let them enter the house she used to call our forever home. I watched them look around, her shoes still by the door, the robe still hanging behind the bathroom door, the half-finished candle in the living room. Then they asked me the question I hadn't prepared for. "Mr. Banks, when was the last time you physically saw Madison?" I had to think. It had been almost 4 days. Since the huge fight. The one where she said, "I'm tired of pretending you're the one." She stormed out after that. I didn't follow. I didn't text. I just let her go. I thought she'd come back when the drama fizzled out like she always did. They asked if I'd mind opening the trunk of my car. My breath caught. Not because there was anything to hide, I'd packed my stuff, remember? But the way they asked it, it didn't feel routine. I opened it slowly, heart racing. Just clothes, my duffel bag, a folder of old tax documents, and the little metal lockbox with some cash I'd saved from bartending. Nothing illegal. Nothing strange. But the cop looked at me again and said, "We're gonna need to take this box. And we'll need you to come with us." "What?" "It's probably nothing. Just standard procedure. But there's something you need to hear." At that point, my mouth had gone dry. I was sweating through my shirt and I hadn't even done anything. I kept telling myself that. "You didn't do anything. We got to the station. They didn't cuff me or anything. I wasn't under arrest." But the moment I sat in that cold metal chair, they dropped the bomb. There was a voicemail left at 3:11 a.m. on Madison's phone. Then her phone cut off. "You need to hear what she said." He pressed play on a small recording device and her voice came through, crackling, breathless, terrified. "Ellwood, if you're hearing this, I messed up. I messed up so bad. I shouldn't have said what I said. I shouldn't have gone with him. Please, please don't let this be how it ends." Then silence. And then the sound of tires screeching. And then nothing. I sat there, completely frozen. My lips tried to move but couldn't form words. I wanted to say, "What is this? What does it mean? Why are you playing this for me?" But all that came out was a faint whisper. "She called me?" The officer nodded slowly. Yeah. And we think you were the last person she tried to reach. We traced her phone signal. The last ping came from the edge of the Wilcox Cliffs. An hour after that message. Wilcox Cliffs. The place we once took engagement photos. The place she swore made her feel infinite. And now it was the place where her signal disappeared. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. They let me go around 3 a.m. Said they'd keep me updated. But that phrase felt meaningless. You can't tell a man that his fiancée might have vanished near a cliff after leaving a panicked voicemail and then just say, "We'll be in touch." That's something you say when a library book is overdue. Not when someone you were about to marry might have never made it home. I drove straight to Wilcox Cliffs. The sun wasn't up yet, but there were already 2 patrol cars parked off the trailhead and yellow tape stretched across the viewpoint. I didn't care. I ducked under it and ran, ignoring the shouts behind me. The wind was brutal, the kind that slaps you across the face and doesn't apologize. My feet hit the gravel with sloppy, desperate thuds as I pushed toward the edge. There was no sign of her. No purse. No phone. No keys. Just skid marks from a car that had stopped too suddenly. And a crushed energy drink can that look too clean to have been there long. One of the officers caught up with me. A younger guy, barely 30, eyes red from no sleep. He didn't yell at me for breaking protocol. He just sighed and said, "She's not down there." I blinked at him, trying to understand. "What do you mean?" "We sent drones. Search and rescue. Nothing. No body. No vehicle. No signal." "But you said the signal." "Yeah, the signal ended here. But nothing else fits. No surveillance. No tire tracks coming back. And get this, no one saw her leave with that guy. Troy, right?" I nodded, trying to process. He leaned closer. "There's no record of a Troy Hartman anywhere. No gym membership under that name. No apartment lease. Not even a matching driver's license in the state." That stopped me cold. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying," he whispered, "either she made him up, or he's using someone else's identity." By the time I drove back to the house, my head felt like it was stuffed with static. Every second replayed in fragments, the voicemail, the empty trunk, the ticket I found with both their names. Could she have forged it? Had I misunderstood everything? I went to her closet. Half her things were gone. But not all of them, just the ones she never wore. It was like someone had packed in a hurry but tried to make it look like it was a clean break. That's when I remembered something stupid, something that, until that night, I hadn't thought about in years. The flash drive. We had this old silver flash drive we used to joke about in college, the nuclear secret stick. It had dumb stuff on it. Our first photos together, her terrible poetry, a folder labeled, "Do not open ever," which, of course, I had opened once. It was just videos of her lip-syncing to Lana Del Rey songs. But she'd kept it. I'd seen it in her desk drawer just a few months ago. And when I opened that drawer now, it was still there. I plugged it into my laptop. The screen went black for a moment. Then a single folder appeared. "If something happens to me, read this." My throat tightened. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't poetry or memes or nostalgia. I opened it. There were 4 files. One was a document, a typed letter, dated a month ago. One was an audio recording, just labeled "Heard at Night." And the other 2, they were labeled, "Ellwood's not crazy. He lied to both of us." I clicked on the letter first, and by the 3rd paragraph I was shaking so hard I had to set the laptop down. Because she wasn't writing about leaving me. She was writing about someone following her. And she wasn't talking about Troy. She was talking about someone else entirely. I read her letter 5 times. Each time it made less sense, and more. It started ordinary enough. If you're reading this, it means something went wrong. I don't know how else to explain what's been happening without sounding like I'm losing it. But I know what I saw. I know what I heard. And I know what he told me the night he showed up at the hotel. Wait, what hotel? The further I read, the worse it got. Apparently, Madison had been meeting with someone she never named. She didn't describe his face. Didn't give him a name. She just called him the man from the hallway. That sounded ridiculous at first until she described how she kept seeing him outside her gym at the corner near her office, even once reflected in the window behind her during a Zoom call. She didn't tell me about any of this. Not one word. Instead, she wrote it all down on a drive she hid in her desk like a damn thriller novel. She said the man warned her not to go through with the wedding. Told her I wasn't who I claimed to be. That I had secrets. That she should disappear before it was too late. I sat there in complete disbelief. I didn't have secrets. I wasn't lying to her. I barely had the energy to keep up with life after she started pulling away. But then she wrote something I'll never forget. He knew about the cabin in Birch Hollow. He said he'd seen me there, alone, even though I never told anyone I go there when I need to think. He said he found my diary, the one I keep in the flower box under the porch. My blood ran cold. I didn't even know about the cabin. We never had a cabin. That night I drove straight to Birch Hollow. It's about 70 miles northeast, a mix of vacation rentals, dense woods, and that off-the-grid vibe that makes you check over your shoulder more than you'd like. There was a small mailbox nailed to a tree near the entrance that just said Hollow Run 7B. I didn't know what I was looking for until I saw it. A little one-bedroom cabin. White paint peeling off the side. Porch light dead. Wind chimes dangling but silent. And in the middle of the porch, an overturned flower box. I don't know what made me do it. Instinct, maybe? But I knelt and lifted the box. Beneath it, tucked in plastic to keep it dry, was a soft brown journal. Madison's handwriting. Slanted. Messy. Familiar. I opened it. And what I read made me want to throw up. Page after page of her describing her dreams, her fears, her suspicions. And every few entries, something horrifying. She mentioned seeing me in places I hadn't been. Described me saying things I never said. Doing things I never did. There was one entry that read, Ellwood was in the hallway last night, but he didn't come inside. He just stood there, watching. I called out to him, but he didn't answer. Just smiled. I hadn't been anywhere near Birch Hollow. I was working a double shift that night with time-stamped receipts to prove it. So who or what did she see? I took photos of every page, every single word. Then I packed the journal and left. I didn't want to spend another second there. But I wasn't done with that flash drive yet. When I got home, I opened the second file, the audio labeled Heard at Night. I should have braced myself. The recording was short, 42 seconds. It started with the soft sound of crickets. Then, a door creaking open. Madison breathing. She whispered something hard to make out. And then, a man's voice. Cold. Calm. Not mine. He said, You don't need to run. He can't save you. Then a long silence. And Madison's voice trembling. But you said he was never real. And then static. The file ended. My chest tightened. My lungs wouldn't work properly. My hands were sweating. What the hell had she gotten into? And why did this man from the hallway sound like he knew something about me that even I didn't? After listening to that recording, I couldn't just sit there. I was pacing like an animal in a cage, retracing every step, every conversation Madison and I had in the last 3 months. None of it made sense anymore. She hadn't just been cheating. She hadn't just lied. Something else was happening and somehow I was a part of it without even knowing how. I needed answers. Real ones. Not ghost stories. Not whispers from an old journal. So I did what desperate people do. I went at her old therapist. Yeah, I know how that sounds. And yes, I lied to get the appointment. I told the receptionist I was her fiancée and it was about her disappearance. That part was technically true. The rest, well, I said I was seeking help for myself. That I just needed to understand her state of mind in the weeks before she vanished. Dr. Levine didn't want to talk to me at first. She looked at me like I was dangerous. Not aggressive, more like unstable. She asked if I'd seen the news. I hadn't. I was too deep in my own mess. So she pulled out her phone and showed me the article. Madison Sloan, 32, still missing. Fiancé not a suspect, but questions remain. They had used the photo of us at last year's Christmas party. She looked perfect in red. I looked like I just stepped into a memory I wasn't ready to lose. Then Dr. Levine said something I didn't expect. She told me about the man in the hallway. My heart nearly stopped. You believed her? I didn't. At first. I thought it was disassociation. Or high-functioning paranoia. But then she started bringing me physical evidence. What kind of evidence? She took pictures. Of the same man, same coat, same posture, same vague face, standing in different public places miles apart. Always just far enough that it could be coincidence. Always just close enough to feel like a message. I leaned forward. Did she ever say what he wanted? Dr. Levine hesitated. Then she got up and unlocked a drawer behind her desk. She slid a thin envelope toward me. She left this with me 2 weeks ago. Told me to only give it to you if something happened to her. Inside was a flash drive. Another one. Not silver this time, black, unmarked, except for a small red sticker on the side. I plugged it into my laptop the moment I got home. It only had one file. A video. It started with Madison sitting in a dimly lit room. She looked tired. Pale. Her hair was messy like she'd been crying or hadn't slept. She was holding her phone out recording herself. If you're watching this, Ellwood, then I'm gone. Maybe not dead, but gone from your life. And I need you to know none of this is your fault. But you're in danger now too. I froze. What the hell was she talking about? He knows about the cabin. He knows about the dream you had when you were 12, the one you never told me about but always remembered. That hit me like a hammer. Because I had never told anyone about that dream. Not her. Not my parents. No one. It was something that haunted me for years, a recurring dream of standing in front of a burning house while a shadowy figure whispered, "You don't belong here." Madison continued. He said he's been watching both of us for years. That we were never supposed to meet. That our timelines crossed by accident and that now the balance is broken. She took a shaky breath. I didn't believe him, Ellwood. Not until I saw it. Not until he showed me your photo from 1996. Standing outside the Birch Hollow cabin. That stopped me cold. 1996? I would have been 7. We never owned a cabin. I'd never even been to Birch Hollow until last week. But then she held something up to the camera. A printed photo. And there I was. A child. Standing barefoot in the grass, staring into the lens with a vacant expression. And in the corner of the frame, barely visible, behind the porch was a blurry shape. A tall man in a dark coat. The same posture. The same outline. The same shadow that had followed her. The same one from my dream. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't eat the next day. I just kept rewatching that video, trying to understand what any of it meant. And then, I heard it. Something buried in the background of the recording. Not Madison. Not noise. A voice. Low. Clear. Repeating one line. He's starting to remember. I don't even know how to start this part without sounding insane. But honestly, I think I crossed that line a few nights ago. And at this point, it's not about sounding rational, it's about surviving whatever this is. After watching Madison's video again and again, hearing that voice whisper, he's starting to remember, I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to know what I was forgetting. What I had buried. If this man in the hallway had really shown her a photo of me as a child, one that I had no memory of, I had to find something that could confirm or disprove that I'd even been to Birch Hollow in the first place. So I called my mother. Big mistake. I asked her straight out, did we ever go to Birch Hollow when I was a kid? There was a pause. A long one. And then her voice got tight, almost rehearsed. No. Never. Why are you asking that? I just need to know. Please. Not even once? Not a family trip, not a weekend away. No, Ellwood. You've never been there. Stop worrying about the past. She hung up before I could ask anything else. That wasn't like her. My mom never hung up first. Not unless she was hiding something. I didn't sleep that night. Again. I walked around the house until the floors creaked like old bones. I dug through every drawer, every storage bin, every unopened box in the attic. And then I found it. A plastic tote buried under old blankets. Inside, my grade school stuff. A crumpled superhero lunchbox. A faded baseball glove. A collection of birthday cards from dead relatives. And then underneath an old backpack, a journal. It was one of those hardbound kind kids use when they're learning to write. Blue cover. Stickers of planets and stars. The name Ellwood written in huge, shaky letters across the front. I opened it. The first entry was dated June 3rd, 1996. I froze. That was the same summer Madison said I appeared in that photo. The summer I was supposedly never at Birch Hollow. The entries were short at first. Weirdly formal, like a child copying a script. Today I saw the man again. He was in the woods. Mommy says he's not real, but he waved. I dream about fire every night. The house burns, but I'm not scared. He says it means I'm waking up. He knows my name. Not just Ellwood. He called me the mirrored one. I asked what that meant. He smiled. As I kept reading, the handwriting changed. Became sharper. More precise. The language shifted. By the time I got halfway through, it didn't sound like a child writing anymore. It sounded like someone documenting a plan. I know what he wants now. He wants her. He says she remembers more than I do. That she's the key. I think I was someone else before. I think I still am. He said I was never supposed to come back. When the time comes, the ring will go back. That's how it ends. That's how it begins again. That line stopped me cold. The ring. The one I left on the counter the day she went missing. Was I following a script I didn't even know existed? I didn't remember writing any of this. I didn't remember these dreams. These visits. The man in the woods. The fire. But the handwriting, it was mine. Or at least it looked like it. And the last page? It wasn't a journal entry. It was a photograph. Taped in, brittle with age. A picture of the same cabin at Birch Hollow. No people. Just the building barely visible through the fog. But on the back, written in dark red ink. You were never alone. You just didn't know who else was watching. I slammed the journal shut and backed away from it like it was toxic. I needed someone to tell me I was losing my mind. I needed proof that none of this was real. So I called my friend Jonah. He's a data recovery specialist. Basically a tech geek with a talent for dragging files out of broken computers and crashed drives. I told him I had something important. Something that might have been tampered with. I didn't say much over the phone. I just asked if I could bring him the flash drives, both of them. He agreed. Said he'd meet me the next morning. Only he never showed up. Instead, I got a message at 3:47 a.m. No text. Just a video file. And in it, Jonah looked terrified. He was in his car. Parked somewhere dark. The windows fogged. His voice shaking. I don't know what the hell you've gotten into, man. But someone came to my apartment. They didn't knock. They didn't speak. They just stood there. Watching. I think it's him. I think it's real. I'm leaving town. Don't call me. Then he looked directly into the camera. Burn those drives. Now. Before it's too late. The screen went black. And that's when I heard it. A knock at my door. Not loud. Not fast. Just 3 slow, deliberate knocks. I didn't open the door. I just stood there, staring at the handle, frozen in place. 3 slow knocks. No voice. No footsteps walking away. And somehow the most disturbing part, no sound of a car pulling up before it. If it had been a delivery guy, a neighbor, the police, I would have heard something. But it was dead silent. I stayed crouched behind the couch until morning light pushed its way through the blinds. When I finally got the courage to peek outside, the porch was empty. No footprints. No sign anyone had been there. I needed to stop pretending this was just paranoia. So I did the only thing left. I opened the last file on the silver flash drive. He lied to both of us. It was a video. Screen-recorded footage. Madison's laptop, judging by the layout. She was browsing through a forum, one I didn't recognize. The logo was weird, almost like a maze spiraling inward. She clicked on a thread titled, "The man in the hallway, do you remember him, too?" Inside were dozens of messages. Not from trolls. Not from kids pretending to be scared. From people describing the exact same thing. A man in a dark coat. Appearing at different points in their lives. Telling them things about their past no one else could know. Always watching, never aging. And one post stood out. Username, EchoTwin94. It simply said, I met him in 1996. He told me I'd forget. But when the ring returned to the counter, the loop would break. If you're reading this, I think you're me. I paused. Read it again. Then looked at the user's profile. It was locked. But there was one note in the bio. Birch Hollow. Cabin. The mirror isn't a reflection. It's a doorway. That's when I remembered something even more disturbing. I'd seen the username before. Not online. Written on the back of the childhood photo Madison had shown in her video. EchoTwin94. She hadn't noticed it. But I had. Because I'd written it. In my own handwriting. I didn't sleep the night before. I just sat on the floor, flashlight in one hand, the journal in the other, the flash drive scattered in front of me like puzzle pieces I couldn't fit together. But one thing had finally become clear, I wasn't going to outrun this by hiding. I had to go back, to the cabin, to Birch Hollow, to whatever memory or truth waited for me there. So I drove. No music. No stops. Just the hum of the tires and the occasional flicker of doubt screaming from the back of my mind. But I didn't turn around. The cabin looked the same, lifeless, silent, still holding its secrets under that chipped paint and rotting porch. But this time I wasn't scared. I walked inside. Everything was untouched. No sign of forced entry. No blood, no messages on the walls, no flickering lights or figures in the shadows. Just dust and silence. Until I looked in the mirror. It had always bothered me, a full-length mirror bolted to the wall, facing the living room like it had a purpose. I'd seen it last time, but I hadn't looked directly at it. Now I did. And I finally understood. It wasn't a mirror. At least, not in the usual way. I stepped closer. And my reflection didn't match. I moved my left hand. It raised its right. I blinked. It didn't. I whispered, "Who are you?" And it smiled. But then something changed. For the first time in this entire nightmare, I saw fear not in me, but in it. The reflection's smile faded. Its eyes widened. It stepped back as if something was pulling it away. And suddenly the mirror went dark. Gone. Just my own tired, pale face looking back. A flash of heat ran through my chest, a rush of air, a moment of stillness, like a cord had finally been cut. And for the first time in weeks, no whispers, no knocks, no static. Just silence. Peaceful silence. Behind the mirror, I found something wedged in the wall. A sealed envelope. Inside, a photo of me and Madison. Real this time. From our engagement day. Her arms around my shoulders, my eyes mid-laugh. No shadows. No strange figures. Just us. And a note. In her handwriting. "If you found this, you broke the cycle. You weren't supposed to. But you did. I'm safe now. I remember everything. And so will you in time. Love always, M." Tears hit my face before I could stop them. I don't know what cycle she meant. I don't know who or what that reflection was. But I do know one thing. She was alive. Somewhere. Somehow. She had made it out. And so had I. Weeks have passed since then. No strange dreams. No voices. No knocks. Just calm. I moved out of that old house. Donated the flash drives. Burned the journal. Blocked out the noise. And then one quiet Sunday morning, a letter arrived. No return address. Inside was a boarding pass. First class. Destination, Florence, Italy. And a note in the same handwriting. "Come find me. I've been waiting." So I'm writing this from an airport bench. It's quiet here. For the first time in a long, long time. I feel whole again. And maybe, just maybe, the ending of the story isn't the end after all. Maybe it's the beginning.